In this video, we're going to go over how to get navigation trails up and running with Quest Map Pro. So this is continuing on from the other tutorials. We've got all our landmarks and such set up. So the first thing we need to do is we need to give the world a nav mesh. Now we've got a nav mesh set up for the AI up here, but that's not the one we're going to use. We're just going to add a separate one. So we're going to add in a nav mesh bounds volume. And we're just going to scale that up to fit the entire world. So if we go here and we just switch over to scale. Now this isn't ideal for large open world maps. There will be another solution for trails coming in a future update for those. But for right now, this is what we've got. So that's the right size, but we need it to be much lower. Let's scale up the height as well, so we can make sure we've got our entire map covered. Now, if you're, by default, you're not going to see the navigation. If you hit P, you can actually see the navigation everywhere. So you want to just make sure that it's set up to go along all the paths you have, and you can change the agent settings so that that's all different, but that's more of a tutorial for Unreal Engine, not Quest Map. So we've got this all set up. We're going to just use that as is without any tweaks. And the next thing we need to do is we need to add the location manager. So if you go into the Quest Map folder under Blueprints, Actors, and then Helper Actors, we want the BP Quest Map Pro Location Manager. We can drop that in wherever we want. And this has a couple of purposes. You can use it to set up defaults with landmarks and such, but we're not going to go into that in this video. But what we're looking for is the navigation data here. So we want to just tell it to use the default navigation data. Now this is set up so that you can have a separate one for trails. So for instance, you might want these guys to be able to get through thinner or thicker gaps than the navigation trail, or you might want to be able to block the navigation trail in some areas. So you could go into your project settings and set up a different agent class and use that navigation recast mesh for the navigation trails. But in this case, we're just going to use the default one, and that's really all we have to do. So if we hit play and we set a waypoint somewhere like up here, you'll see straight away we've got the trail up and running. And it's going to take us down this way. So the settings are quite short at the moment, but we can change all those. If we jump into the character controller and click on our Quest Map Manager, and we look for the section for navigation trails here, we can change how long the trail is effective for, how far away the trail goes, all that sort of thing, and how often it recalculates. I'm just going to leave it at default, but those settings are there for you to play with. Now, there is one additional thing we can do, and that is we can use the navigation trail to go to specific points for landmarks. So, for instance, if I fire this up and I just go stand over here, if we mark this landmark as a point, the navigation trail is actually just going to go to the center of the landmark. And, you know, in some cases that might be the desired effect, but in other cases you might want it to go somewhere specific. So if we were to imagine, I don't think any of these examples are really going to work too well, but if we were to imagine that this had maybe a big thick garden at the front and there was an archway over here or something like that, and we wanted the navigation point to go here, so it was always going to lead to the entrance of the garden, then what we can do is we can add in a target point, and we can put that wherever we like. So if we just drag that over here, and we place that one, I'm going up, that's not how I want that to go. Place that one there. And we call this something like navigation point yellow house. Misspelt that. So that's just a normal target point. We can put that wherever we like. And if we just click on the landmark we want to use, we can tell that to point to a specific target point. So we'll tell it to point to that one. Now if we jump back into the game and we were to set the yellow house as our target point, you're going to see it's actually going to where we want. So that's just to give you a bit more control over where things go. And again, so this is really useful if you're using quest locations that have fences around them and you want your characters, your players to always go to a main fence and not have the navigation system expose secret entrances or something like that. So that is how you get the navigation trails up and running. As with everything else, if you have any feedback, questions, feel free to let me know. Thanks for watching, guys.